welcome back to LMDiesel, and today we are installing some suspension parts on the 3rd gen. So today we're going to be saying goodbye to these stock control arms as well as these stock shocks. We're also going to be relocating the track bar. All right, so let me show you the parts. So first off, big thanks to Stryker Off-Road Design for sending these out. These are their fabricated control arms for a level truck. So my truck is lifted about 2 to 3 inches, so these are slightly longer than stock. But as you can tell, these things are heavy duty, man. Like, they are like heavy. They got some real weight to them. They look great. The finish is great. They also have grease zerks as well, so I'll be able to grease these, make sure to keep them good and lubricated. They also sent out some shirts. I'm wearing one right now. Honestly, one of the reasons why I've been wanting to get longer control arms for a while is, number one, it is like an upgrade over stock. You should get some better ride quality, but for me in particular, I want to run bigger tires. I would love to run some 24x14s, and I believe with these I should be able to get full turn lock to lock without rubbing. So that's the benefit of running a longer control arm. So I'm super excited to get these on, but I also have some more parts I need to show you. So check this out. Got this from Rough Country. This is a track bar relocation bracket. Why do you need this? A lot of guys get adjustable track bars to keep the axle centered underneath the truck. But one of the problems with that is that those can be a little expensive. With this relocation bracket, you can achieve the same outcome for a really cheap price and continue to run your stock track bar. So I'm going to be putting this in, testing it out, see how it works, but I also have these. So while I'm waiting on the other one comes in on the UPS truck today. But this is the Bilstein 5160 dual reservoir shock. I've been wanting to run these on the front of my truck for forever just because of how sick they look. I love the look of dual reservoirs, and I got a really good deal on these. So those are the parts. Let's go ahead and start disassembling the truck and getting them installed. Alright, so as I'm doing this job, one quick note. If y'all do not know what PB Blaster is, you need to use this stuff. So I actually sprayed down the bolts with this earlier, but I'm going to hit it again real quick and then we'll start taking it all apart. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace one of these at a time. I think this is going to be the easiest way to do it rather than taking it all off at once. I've seen that some people have done it like this online, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, I've spent entirely way too long trying to get that bolt out. I saw online that you just need to buy new ones, and I didn't listen, so I ordered them on Amazon. So yeah, I'm gonna cut this out like they showed on some of the other videos and kind of go from there. But it does seem like you can do these arms one at a time, and I would be like halfway done if that would come out, but it's totally seized. Anyway, this is gonna take a little longer than I expected. Alright, so like I said, those lower camber bolts were totally shot. So I ordered some new ones. They should be coming in here in a couple days. So I'm just focusing on getting everything else done that I can while I'm waiting on those. So I moved to the upper control arms, got those off. They actually weren't that difficult to do, and I'm going to show you the comparison here. As you can see, this is our old upper control arm, and then this is our new one. Obviously, if you line up these holes right there, you can see that this one is slightly longer. That's the first thing to note, and obviously it should be, right, because that's the whole reason why I got these. The other thing you'll notice is, like, this is heavy duty, really solid. This is really light, so this is a much better part. And then finally, this thing you can actually put in grease zerks. This thing has no grease zerks. So just comparing it to stock, there's literally no comparison. So I'm gonna go ahead, get this on, and try to finish up the other side too. Some people also be like, dude, why do you need like underglow and rock lights? So that when you work on your stuff, you can see what you're doing. Anyway, just want to show y'all here the setup that I kind of have for getting this thing out that seemed to work pretty good for me. So I have a jack stand underneath the axle here with a tire on the other side, and then I have the jack here holding it up. So I just put a little pressure there, set that down there, and it was pretty easy to come out. Couple bolts, nothing too crazy, and it seemed to come out. So let's go ahead and get the new one in. All right, so got the grease zerks installed, and I have the control arm installed. Definitely had to finagle it a little bit to get in there, but it is now in there and secure and good and tight, and it is looking good. Just the top one, can't wait to get the bottom one in. But for now, we're gonna hop onto the other side and get this one installed. Also, you notice the wheel lights are loose. What could that mean? Alright, so as you can tell, it is the next day, and let me show you where we're at. So, we have the upper control arms installed on both sides, as you can tell. They were pretty easy. Honestly, it was just kind of this bolt here that was kind of difficult to get to and put on, but all in all, it wasn't too bad. Other than that, we also have the brake calipers off and the wheel lights disconnected. This is actually because we have an upgrade coming. Well, it's already here actually, but it'll be in the next video, so stay tuned for the next video. But what I think we're gonna continue to do while we're waiting on those lower camber bolts is we're gonna install the dual reservoir shocks as well as the track bar relocation bracket. Let's go ahead and get started with the shocks. Man, these things look sick. That was loose. So I just unbolted the track bar bolt. Okay, so we're about to install this track bar relocation bracket. First thing you're gonna wanna do is obviously unbolt your track bar, but then you also wanna unbolt the steering stabilizer. Once those two are done, you can start to get this thing mounted up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick, and let's get underneath the car and I'll show you how this thing mounts up. Okay, so I am unbolting my bracket for my dual steering stabilizer. We need to use that bolt hole. In case you're wondering, it's a 19. I need to buy a Milwaukee half-inch so bad. So now that we have our dual steering stabilizer bolt out as well as our track bar bolt, we will now start to install our relocation bracket. And it should go in something like this. You can actually twist this guy up front to make it darker, lighter. That make it lighter, darker. Okay, so we got our bracket installed. We have the bracket for the steering stabilizer. I have a dual steering stabilizer bracket on, so it does work with that. And then this other 22mm bolt down here that locks it in. Now that this is in, you just use that bolt hole as a guide. Get you your 30 seconds drill bit, and then you just go to town. I am so excited for this. Oh gosh. I'm gonna cut that out. So thankfully now we have the track bar relocation bracket put in, and I also have one of the dual reservoir shocks installed. Let me show you what we got. So yeah, this is what it looks like, and man, I'm actually super psyched at how this is turning out. So Bilstein 5160 here, obviously, and then we have the reservoir mounted to the plastic here. Now I haven't really seen anybody do this, and I don't think you could do something like this on some of the aftermarket fender liners because they're not that tough. But this one's pretty solid, and I mean, like, it's barely moving, like it's not going anywhere. So yeah, this looks awesome. Love how the rock lights are lighting it up. This is kind of how it's looking right now, and let me get the other side done. Your brother went in just fine. What's wrong with you? I hate you, truck. Why can't you? Why am I always having to bend brackets? There's gonna be so much B-roll of just like me, just like, ah. Installing shocks should not take this long. But when your truck is old and everything is stupid, that's what you get. Just remember, kids, you can do anything. Put your mind to. Just work hard and be better. And remember where the socket is. Where's the socket? There it is. Bolts. And that looks good enough. All right, well, as you can see, the second shot. As you can see, the second, Woo! I hate cyclists. Anyway, it's on, and I'm tired. So, we'll see you tomorrow. All right, so it is the next day, and we're finally going to get the lower control arms installed. All right, so we have our new camber adjustment bolts here. Obviously the new control arms here, and then our grease zerks here. So to get the old control arms out, we're going to have to cut those old seized bolts. So basically you can see where I beat on this thing for a good while trying to get it to unseize. There's no pressure or anything on this arm. You know, you could sit there and move it. But yeah, it just did not want to come out. So what I'm gonna do is just grab a Sawzall and just zoop, cut on each side. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we got it cut out. I actually did have to run to the store and get a pretty heavy duty Sawzall blade to be able to cut it out, and it did actually take a little bit. It was not an easy cut. So we cut this side out, so let's go ahead and put in the new control arm. Man, these things look so sick. So now that those are on, I'm gonna go ahead, button up this side for the most part, and then knock out the other side. Okay, so just to do a comparison on the lower control arms, got these out finally. As you can tell, had to cut each one of these bolts off. Got the new hardware here, so excited to use that. You can also see here that these bushings were starting to go out. These are the factory control arms, so I'm really excited to get these on. Obviously here are the new lower control arms. First thing to note, obviously we have our grease zerks here installed. These take a lot of grease, which is awesome. And just to compare, like, once again, heavy duty, bold, to the point. These are hollow, lighter, just not as good, not as quality, and don't look nearly as good. So I'm gonna get this final one in and then start buttoning up the rest of the truck. All right guys, I am stoked because we got the control arms in. Let's take a look. Dude, this looks so sick. I am just loving that. Heavy duty, matches the coils that are in there, looks fantastic with those new Bilsteins. Got this side done and in. Wow, man, that looks so sick. I love how those look. Well, I guess we just need to button everything up and then take it for a test drive and see how it does. All right, so we're in the truck, we're cruising. It's been a couple days actually, and I've kind of been testing these control arms out and seeing just how the front end feels. So just to start out with, the main goal of getting longer control arms is to center your axle, get your tires pushed up a little bit so that they don't rub. So my tires did rub a little bit before, and I will say that it has been great because these control arms definitely push the axle forward and and my tires no longer rub. The driver's side tire rubs a little bit, actually on the front bumper now, and not the rear. Part of that I think can be a little bit adjusted. The other part of that too is that my truck has about a 2-inch level, and I will say that if I had gone with like a 3-inch Carly spring or something like that, I don't think it would rub at all, which is fantastic. So as far as how the front end feels better. Is it like a night and day difference though? No, if I'm being honest, it really isn't. Now I really just need to loosen up the rear end, because the rear end's still pretty stiff. So I'm gonna at some point probably take a couple leaves out of the rear and, you know, kind of get the rear end to feel a little bit better. But did these arms accomplish what I needed them to? Absolutely. And do they look really good while doing it? Absolutely. So I got no problem recommending these Stryker arms. I think they're great quality. I think the finish is great. I think they work exactly how they're advertised, and I think they look really cool too. So the next thing I want to talk about is the track bar relocation bracket. So that was from Rough Country. That worked. It did work. But I will say that if you have the money, I probably would go for an adjustable track bar. Drilling the holes for this thing was kind of tough, and also the fitment, it was just like a little loose, and I was kind of getting a little bit of popping in the front end after I installed it, popping from the track bar. Didn't get death wobble or anything like that, but I did get some popping, and I actually took out the bolt that they gave me, and I wrapped it once in tape to make it thicker. Like I used like some Gorilla tape, and that actually took away the popping. So kind of weird, but you know, if you're balling on a budget, you really got to keep everything cheap. Does it work? Absolutely, it does work. And part of this might be installer error too, so I'm not gonna say that I did it perfectly, but that was just kind of my experience with it. As far as the Bilstein 5160 shocks, you know, I've heard a lot of people say that you're not really gonna notice any difference with these unless you like go off-road. I never really go off-road. I bought them because they looked cool, if I'm being honest. And I would say that is true. I'd say that experience is true. The front end, as far as the shocks are concerned, they feel about the same. All right, well, thanks for watching the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And once again, big thanks to Stryker Off-Road Design for sending these fabricated control arms out. They're awesome, they look sick, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace.